هلا بالطيب الغالي.
عزيز وشوفتك من
ترى ما جاء على بالي
أشوف عيونك الحلوة. هلا بالطيب الغالي،
هلا بالطيب الغالي. هلا بالطيب الغالي
عزيز وشوفتك من
ترى ما جاء على بالي
أشوف عيونك.
Distinguished guests, would you please welcome to the stage the Chair of the World Travel and Tourism Council, Arnold Donald.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone. So delighted to be here. It's very exciting for WTTC and our members, and we hope it's exciting for everyone that's here. So first, to our gracious host, especially His Excellency Ahmed Al-Khatib, Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, other dignitaries, and of course to the people of Saudi Arabia. Thank you. Thank you for your hospitality. Thank you for your warm welcome. Those of you that were able to be present last night in Diriyah, could you raise your hands if you happen to be there in Diriyah? Yeah, it was a spectacular welcome reception and an unbelievable laser light fireworks show, so one of a kind. So thank you so much. I'd also like to thank our strategic partners, the Saudi Arabia Ministry of Tourism, Global Rescue, the Puerto Rico Tourism Company, and our elite sponsor, which I mentioned just a second ago, the Riyadh Gate Development Authority. Our heartfelt thanks, and Jerry, thank you so much for everything that you made happen. Now, it's truly a pleasure for me to be back. This is my third visit to Saudi Arabia within the last 14 months, and each visit has been even more impressive than the already very impressive previous one. And this is the first WTTC conference in the Middle East region since Abu Dhabi in 2013. Now, in the past 9 years, travel and tourism in this region has gone from strength to strength, representing 8.9% of the region's total economy before the pandemic struck, and recovering with growing strength as the global economy recovers. Now, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's bold ambitions embody the region's drive and energy, and we meet today here in Riyadh, which holds a key to this country's future prosperity. Now, Riyadh's total population is roughly 7.5 million. And by the end of this decade, it is predicted to rise to 10.5 million. Now, that's staggering growth by any measure. It'll boost productivity, and of course, it'll boost still more growth, making it one of the top 10 city economies in the world, and clearly a shining example to the rest of the world. Now, while it's been 9 years since the WTTC hosted a summit in the Middle East, in that time, our ties with this part of the world have also strengthened. Just 3 years ago, we signed for us an historic partnership with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, in which we would share our 30 years experience in travel and tourism to add and support to the Kingdom's bold and ambitious plans for the future. Now, I would just like to take this opportunity to reflect on that partnership. This is a kingdom that aspires to become one of the top 5 tourist destinations in the world, welcoming 100 million domestic and international travelers a year, and with a goal for travel and tourism to comprise 10% of its GDP by 2030. Now, these are ambitious, unparalleled in the history of our sector, ambitions that are unparalleled in the history of our sector. And 3 years later, from that agreement, and for us a historic partnership, it's been a great privilege to see the progress made with our own eyes. To witness, for instance, the ancient city of Diriyah, a UNESCO World Heritage Site and the first seat of power for the Al Saud family, where renovation work is transforming into a thriving tourist destination, which in time, millions upon millions of people from around the world will flock to see. Now, these achievements are proof of the power of partnerships between the public and private sectors. Partnerships where the public and private sectors work together in pursuit of a common goal. And again, partnerships that will serve as an example to the rest of the world. Examples of the power of travel and tourism to help transform a country's economy. Now, I'm immensely excited about what the coming years will bring. And our partnership is also, our partnership, WTTC and the Kingdom, I believe, a reminder of the magic of our sector and its ability to reshape entire economies, to unlock growth and prosperity, to bring people of different cultures and nationalities together, and to open our eyes to new ways of thinking and new ways to see the world. And like the traveler, we should look forward with great and renewed optimism towards a new and even brighter horizon. Again, I'd like to thank our hosts, and I'd like to thank each of you for being here, for being invested in and engaged in the impact work of WTTC to make global travel ever more frictionless, ever more enjoyable, and ever more sustainable. Thank you. Now, we have a great conference lineup with exceptional speakers and with real impact players. And now I'd like to invite one of them onto the stage. Please welcome, and indeed it gives me great honor to do so, our host, His Excellency, Minister of Tourism for Saudi Arabia, Ahmed Al-Khatib.
Your Highnesses, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, bonjour, buenos dias, konnichiwa, ni hao, and bon dia. It is my great pleasure to welcome you here in Riyadh for the 22nd World Travel and Tourism Summit. The value of this forum cannot be overstated. We all understand the importance of coming together across industries, government, and beyond to work together in the creation of a safer, more resilient, and sustainable future. Here in Riyadh, we have gathered more tourism ministers and CEOs than ever before. So, let us seize this opportunity and use it wisely. Partnership across the public and private sector must come first to push forward action that will benefit all. As a Minister of Tourism, I'm proud of our achievements, both as a rapidly developing destination and as a global partner driving change across the sector. We come together in response to the pandemic and decided that we have to future-proof the industry, an industry that provides 1 in 9 of the world's jobs. Now, we find ourselves once again as a global community faced with challenges, and no doubt more will come. But the answer remains the same: collective action. This is what required to build the future we all seek. The opportunity for us as a tourism leaders to focus the energy of this challenge and direct it into the action of an industry that is fit for all and fit for the future. An industry that is more sustainable and more resilient and better able to create wealth and opportunity in places where it is needed most. As the sector recovers stronger, we must put people and the planet first. At the very center of every decision we take, tourism will create 126 million new jobs in the next decade. That means 1 in every 3 new jobs created will be in our sector, which is a lot of lives we can change if we do this right. Saudi Arabia is reimagining tourism, drawing on the power of partnership, ensuring no one is left behind. We built our tourism industry against the backdrop of the global disaster. And we now have $6 trillion of investment opportunity through to 2030. We value collaboration, and we are proof that it's work. Our shared commitment to partnership will drive the global industry forward, which is why our attendance here today is such a powerful statement. Last October, we launched the Sustainability Tourism Center, a multi-country, multi-stakeholder organization to spearhead and accelerate our sector toward net zero. Building on this, we recently announced its foundation framework at COP27, and we will launch this STGC Youth Initiative here today, understanding well that we are stronger together. Stronger when we combine the very best from all sectors of society, matching the wisdom of the experience with the drive, ambition, and imagination of our young youth. Training and upskilling is vital to ensure the sector and our community are all served. We know that 1 in 3 young people works in tourism globally. We must ensure we are investing in their future if we are to retain this talent. Saudi Arabia is blessed with a young population, 2/3 under the age of 35, and we are accounting and encouraging them to become the tourism leaders of tomorrow. Just one example. We launched a program to train 100,000 young Saudis every year in the sector, both here and abroad, providing the opportunity to share best practices and learn from each other in a spirit of knowledge sharing and cooperation. As we build the future together, one that is resilient and sustainable. We must always remember that it's not enough to simply protect that we have. We must continue to innovate, to chase new opportunities in the technology and research as we continue to connect with the world. Connecting people in person with yesterday's announcements from His Royal Highness of the new King Salman International Airport in Riyadh. And virtually with WTTC Summit to first ever to be accessible through the metaverse. We are shaping tomorrow. As the tourism remains at the forefront of how the world interacts, our giga projects, NEOM, the Red Sea, Al-Ula, and the Great Dir'iyya, where we had a lovely dinner last night. Thank you, Jerry. Will help us to remain there, combining digitalization, innovation, and technology, preserving the very best of our past. Here in Saudi Arabia, we are providing that blending ideas, celebrating our heritage, and shaping the future. Acknowledging wisdom and nurturing youth is a recipe for success. Success created through partnership. So, at the beginning of what I know will be the important week for our sector, I want to leave you with a final thought. We have the power to shape the sector, bridge cultures, and transform communities. We are fortunate to be in the position to affect change. We must not let this opportunity pass by us. Let us ensure that here in Riyadh, we really do deliver a better future for travel. Thank you. Thank you.
Travel opens a path to the greatest wonder of the world. The opportunity to wonder at the world. To wonder at our planet. To wonder at our people. To wonder together. When we look at the paths ahead, our sector can keep the wonder of the world alive. As we travel for a better future.
Please welcome the President and CEO, the World Travel and Tourism Council, Julia Simpson.
Your Royal Highness, Your Highnesses, Excellencies, valued WTTC members, and dear friends, Al-Salam Alaikum. Welcome everyone to our 2022 Global Summit. It is wonderful to be here. 3 years ago, the WTTC celebrated an historic day in Saudi Arabia when the kingdom launched its first ever international tourist visa. And we witnessed one of those very rare moments these days when a nation closed for centuries opened up its arms and its doors to the world. We are proud of the strong partnership we have enjoyed with the kingdom ever since. We are delighted to be hosting this year's conference here in Riyadh, a city of lights, thank you, a city of lights and beauty, whose great ambitions and vision are the future of the sector that I am here to represent. And it's no wonder WTTC members are investing more than $10.5 billion right here, right now. Thank you. In recent years, we've witnessed a real transformation in the Middle East into a vibrant global tourist destination. Here in Saudi Arabia, that transformation is the fruit of $800 billion of investment. That is the biggest ever in the history of travel and tourism. But you know, this is not only about financial prowess. Financial prowess is important, but it's not only about that. It's about vision, it's about tenacity, and it's about drive. This is a story of global leadership from His Royal Highness Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and the great House of Al Saud. And I have to say, you know, that what is true here is true everywhere. When travel and tourism thrives, other industries thrive with us. Of every $10 in the world that is made through travel and $1 of those every 10 is made through travel and tourism. And this sector creates 1 in every 10 jobs globally. Now, despite the global shutdown in 2020, travel and tourism, as many of my members will attest in this room, is recovering. Our 10-year forecast shows our sector will once more outpace global growth. So we will be growing at a rate of 5.8% annually, while globally, GDP by comparison is set to grow at about 2.7. So let me just put that in human terms. By 2032, our sector, as His Excellency said, will create 126 million new jobs. But you know, nothing is inevitable. We know right now the global economy is at a very precarious point. The war in Ukraine is devastating. We face new geopolitical threats. Inflation is undoubtedly a serious worry. And while a deep recession might yet be avoided, we have to admit our global economy at the moment is fragile. So I would really appeal to governments across the world, please take travel and tourism seriously. And why? Because we can help you. Today, bookings levels are very strong. Demand for travel is outstripping supply. We have high employment and record savings, and that's with yet waiting for China to reopen. But you know, too often our sector has been neglected. We saw it in the 1970s during the oil crisis, when the US government forced to ration energy supplies, classified travel and tourism as non-essential. We saw it starkly during COVID, when international coordination to safely reopen borders was, let's face it, it was non-existent. It was chaotic and shambolic. Back then, His Excellency Al-Khatib, and the former UK Prime Minister, who will be speaking to you later today, Lady Theresa May, were lone voices calling for an international coordination and alignment. But now, we actually face the greatest crisis of our time, climate change. Extreme temperatures creating unlivable cities. Forest fires devastating our flora and our fauna. Rising seas which swallow up coastlines. You know, I was at the G20 and I spoke to His Excellency Koya from Fiji, and he told me he had just had to relocate an entire village of 400 families away from the coast. This problem is existential, and we are literally in our businesses on the front line. As the WTTC's Nature Positive Travel and Tourism report shows, tourism from nature generates over $600 billion. And those $600 billion provide opportunities for some of the world's poorest countries to protect their biodiversity and their communities. In Rwanda, just for example, a country once devastated by war, tourism is now the largest source of foreign exchange earnings invested back into the country and into the people. And I have to say, look at what's happening here in Saudi Arabia. In Diriyah, 6 million trees and shrubs are being planted. Incredible. In Alula, Arabian leopards will be introduced as part of an incredible rewilding project. And in the glorious Red Sea, the health of its flourishing coral is being monitored in real time in a scientific center there as a gift to the world. This is why we produced our sector's roadmap. For the first time, it brings together all the net zero plans of our diverse businesses into one single narrative. We need to speak with one single narrative. But until now, it's not actually been possible to quantify the actual impact that we are having on the climate. I'm going to be honest with you, we simply, as a whole sector, did not have the data. Now, you all know that for over 30 years, WTTCs, based on its founders, has produced world-renowned economic data on the value of travel and tourism. But measuring all the emissions across all our industries, our businesses, our supply chains, it is really, really hard to do. We can measure the energy to fly a plane, but what about the energy it takes to make and deliver millions of water bottles? And how many of those bottles would have actually been consumed anyway without travel and tourism? Well, we now can measure it. Today, thanks to the partnership with Saudi Arabia and His Excellency and friend Al-Khatib, I am proud to announce the launch of the world's very first environmental and social impact report for travel and tourism. It is a groundbreaking piece of research that allows us to measure and track our sector's footprint. You know, there have been many attempts to do it before. One said that travel and tourism was responsible for 12% of all emissions, greenhouse gas emissions. But our research shows that in 2019, our base year, our greenhouse gas emissions totaled 8.1% globally. So now we know what we are working with. We can compare where we are today to where we were 10 years ago. We can track it. And not just greenhouse gases, but everything from energy consumption to water use. I will give our business the data they need on where they need to focus, and it will also give governments hard facts on how to meet SDG targets. I am so pleased with that. You know, the great promise here is decoupling growth in travel and tourism from carbon emissions. This is what the numbers are showing us now. Greenhouse gas emissions per dollar generated are going down. We have started on the journey of growing our businesses but reducing our carbon intensity, and this is critical. While our total emissions are at the lower range of previous estimates, we will need to decarbonize absolutely aggressively. But we cannot do this alone. Here are our top 3 priorities. Energy. In 2019, around 1/5 of emissions came from electricity. So while we look to our own energy efficiency, we need governments to help us to switch to renewables for the energy we use from the grid every time we turn that light on in our hotel room. Sustainable aviation fuels. In 2019, transport accounted for 38% of emissions. Now, let's be honest, that 38%, we are in the travel business, so it would. So, what's the solution? Electric and hydrogen planes will arrive. They'll arrive in the future. But if we want to meet the Paris targets, it is critical we have wide-scale availability of, as we call it, SAF for short. We need a commitment by fuel producers, and we've received that here in Saudi Arabia, to produce SAF and policies to incentivize by governments the production of aviation fuel. And it's not hard. The model for governments already exists. We have had incentive for electric vehicles, and the technology for SAF already exists. We need governments to make it a priority. But lastly, more than anything, we need courage. We have, after all, survived the greatest crisis in our industry. You are the leaders who recovered this resilient sector after the pandemic. Climate change might be a problem on a planetary scale, but it is also an opportunity. We will not only protect the world and its abundance of resources, but ensure they are the inheritance of every future traveller, so that beyond the horizon lies yet again a new wonder. Thank you very much.